Imagine this: you wake up one morning and instead of feeling overwhelmed by the day ahead, you feel energized, focused, and full of possibility. What if I told you that in just 1 week you could change the way you experience life? The truth is, we all have the power to create profound transformation in a short amount of time, simply by shifting our habits. Our lives are shaped by the choices we make every day. By consciously choosing empowering habits, we can open ourselves to greater joy, peace, and success. In the next few minutes, I want to share with you 5 simple habits that completely shifted my life in just 7 days. These habits are grounded in love, positivity, and self-care, 3 powerful ingredients that will help you create the life you desire. Let's dive into them, and together we'll unlock your potential for a more fulfilling life. Every day is an opportunity for us to set the tone for our lives, and one of the most powerful ways to do this is by starting each day with intention. The first habit I want to share with you is something that has truly transformed my experience of life: the practice of morning affirmations. The way we begin our day has a ripple effect that influences everything that follows. Imagine waking up in the morning, feeling overwhelmed by your thoughts, stressed about the tasks ahead, or anxious about something you cannot control. This is how many of us start our day without even realizing it. Our minds are often flooded with worries, fears, and negative self-talk. But what if I told you that by simply changing the first few thoughts you have upon waking up, you could change everything? The first habit that transformed my life was the decision to begin my day with affirmations. At first it felt awkward and even uncomfortable. How could something as simple as speaking positive words to myself have any real impact? But over time I realized the deep truth: the mind is incredibly powerful, and our thoughts create our reality. When we wake up, our minds are like a blank canvas, ready to be painted with the thoughts we choose to have. So why not choose thoughts that empower us? Why not choose to start the day feeling worthy of love, success, and all the wonderful possibilities life has to offer? I began my mornings by saying, I am worthy of love, I am deserving of all good things, and I am open to the abundance that is coming my way. These words may have seemed simple, but they became the foundation for my entire day. What I realized was that affirmations work because they shift the inner dialogue we have with ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, capable enough, or deserving enough. But what if we changed that story? What if we could tell ourselves a new story? A story where we are enough, where we are worthy, where we can have everything we desire and more. The more I practiced affirmations, the more I began to see changes, not just in my mindset, but in my life. When we affirm our worth, we start to believe it. And when we believe we are worthy, we begin to attract situations, people, and opportunities that match that belief. It's as though the universe starts aligning itself to support the version of you that you believe in. This doesn't mean everything becomes perfect overnight, but it does mean that you start to see things in a new light. You begin to focus on what's working in your life rather than what isn't. You start to notice the small victories, the kindness of a stranger, the beautiful sunrise, the moments of peace amidst the chaos. Affirmations invite us to be present in the moment and to recognize the gifts that are already here. As I continued to speak loving words to myself each morning, something incredible happened. I started to feel more grounded and centered. The sense of chaos that had once defined my mornings began to dissipate. Instead of rushing into my day with anxiety, I was able to take a deep breath and embrace the day with clarity. And as I spoke these words, I didn't just say them casually, I felt them. I allowed myself to truly believe that I was worthy, deserving, and capable. It wasn't about the words alone, but about the feeling behind them. Words have power, yes, but it is the energy behind the words that creates real change. One of the most beautiful things about affirmations is that they are completely in your control. You don't need anyone else's approval to change the way you speak to yourself. You don't need anyone else's permission to believe in your own greatness. Affirmations are a tool for taking back your power, for reclaiming your self-worth, and for stepping into the life you deserve. Over time, I began to experiment with different affirmations to see what resonated most with me. Some days I would say, I trust that everything is working out for my highest good. On other days, I would affirm, I am exactly where I need to be right now. These words would often come to me intuitively as I connected with my inner wisdom. What I discovered was that affirmations were not just about achieving a specific outcome or goal, but about aligning with my true essence, my highest self. When I affirmed my worthiness, I was not asking for something outside of me. I was remembering the truth of who I really am. As the days passed, I noticed subtle shifts in how I approached challenges. I became more patient with myself. I learned to trust the process of life instead of fearing the unknown. And perhaps most importantly, I began to cultivate a sense of gratitude. I realized that when I affirmed my worth and opened myself up to abundance, I was also making space to receive. It wasn't just about taking action, it was about being in alignment with the flow of life. Affirmations are not a magic cure, but they are a powerful tool for rewiring our minds and transforming our lives. They are a reminder that we are not defined by our circumstances or our past. We are defined by what we believe about ourselves. The moment you begin to speak kind, loving, and empowering words to yourself is the moment your life begins to change. So I encourage you to start each day with intention. Speak words that lift you up, words that remind you of your worth, and words that open you to the incredible possibilities the day holds. You have the power to shape your reality with your thoughts, and it all begins with the words you choose to say when you wake up. Let your affirmations be a daily reminder that you are worthy, capable, and deserving of everything good life has to offer. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces we can harness in our lives, yet it is often overlooked or underappreciated. We tend to focus on what we don't have, what's going wrong, or the things we feel are missing. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of wanting more, achieving more, and always striving for something just beyond our reach. But what if I told you that the key to true transformation lies not in what we lack, but in what we already have? What if you could change the way you see your life simply by shifting your focus to what you are grateful for? The practice of gratitude is not just a feel-good exercise, it's a transformative tool that has the power to shift your entire perspective and invite more joy, peace, and abundance into your life. One of the most impactful habits I adopted was the practice of gratitude every night before going to sleep. At first, it felt like a simple gesture, just a few words of thanks before bed, but as I made it a daily practice, I began to see the profound effects it had on my mindset and energy. Gratitude, I realized, is not just about saying thank you for the big things, but about acknowledging the small blessings that we often overlook. When we stop to truly appreciate the things that already exist in our lives, we begin to see the world through a different lens. Gratitude helps us move from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. It opens us up to receive more because it aligns us with the energy of appreciation and love. Every night, I began writing down 3 things I was grateful for. They didn't have to be monumental. In fact, the more I made a point to appreciate the small moments, the more my heart opened up to even greater blessings. Some nights it was as simple as appreciating a warm cup of tea or the beauty of the sunset. Other nights I found myself deeply grateful for the kindness of a stranger or the laughter shared with friends. I started to notice how much goodness was already present in my life. It wasn't about waiting for the big things to come before I could feel grateful. It was about realizing that the richness of life is often hidden in the everyday moments. When we focus on gratitude, we begin to train our minds to seek out the positive instead of the negative. It's so easy to get lost in our worries, doubts, and fears, but gratitude pulls us out of that mindset and reminds us of the goodness that surrounds us. I found that when I practiced gratitude, even on difficult days, I could find something to appreciate. It wasn't always easy, especially when life felt hard, but the more I practiced, the more I was able to see the silver lining in any situation. Gratitude helped me realize that every experience, no matter how challenging, held a lesson or a gift, and that was something worth being thankful for. There is something incredibly powerful about the act of writing down what we are grateful for. It forces us to slow down and really reflect on the blessings we might otherwise take for granted. And as we write, we start to feel the energy of those words. It's one thing to say, I'm grateful for my family, but when we take the time to write it down, we bring that gratitude to life. We start to feel it deep within us. We recognize the beauty in our relationships, the support we receive, and the love that surrounds us. In those moments, we connect to something much greater than ourselves, the flow of abundance that is always available to us. I also found that practicing gratitude every night helped me release the stresses of the day. When I lay in bed at night, instead of replaying the events of the day or worrying about what was to come tomorrow, I focused my mind on the things I was grateful for. This simple shift had a profound impact on my sleep and my peace of mind. I was no longer tossing and turning with thoughts of anxiety. Instead, I was falling asleep with a heart full of appreciation. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to calm the mind, soothe the spirit, and bring us into alignment with our true selves. Over time, I realized that gratitude has a ripple effect. The more we practice it, the more it transforms the way we experience life. We start to notice the good in every situation, and that good begins to multiply. The more we express appreciation, the more the universe has to give us. Gratitude is a magnet for abundance. When we focus on the blessings we already have, we open the door for even more blessings to come into our lives. This is not about chasing after material possessions or external achievements. It's about cultivating an inner sense of abundance that allows us to experience life as full and rich, regardless of what's happening around us. Gratitude also deepens our connection to others. When we express appreciation for the people in our lives, we strengthen those relationships and open our hearts to love and kindness. It's easy to take others for granted, but when we stop and truly acknowledge the support, care, and love others give us, we build stronger, more meaningful connections. We realize that we are not alone in this journey. We are surrounded by people who are here to support us, lift us up, and share in our joys and struggles. In essence, gratitude is about seeing the beauty in everything, even the challenges. It's about recognizing that we are already whole and complete, and that life in all its complexity is a gift. When we practice gratitude, we shift our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. We learn to appreciate every moment, every interaction, and every experience. And in doing so, we begin to attract more of what we truly desire into our lives. Gratitude is not just a habit, it's a way of life, one that opens our hearts and minds to all the blessings that are already here, just waiting to be noticed. There is a profound truth that often gets overlooked in our busy, chaotic world. We cannot pour from an empty cup. In the rush to meet demands, accomplish tasks, and care for others, we often forget to care for ourselves. It is easy to get caught up in the belief that self-care is indulgent or selfish, but in reality, it is one of the most essential practices for creating balance, peace, and fulfillment in our lives. When we neglect our own needs, we become depleted physically, mentally, and emotionally, and are left with little to give to others or ourselves. One of the habits that changed my life was learning how to prioritize self-care and set loving boundaries. In the past, I would often push myself too hard, saying yes to things I didn't really want to do, and allowing myself to become overwhelmed by obligations. I thought that taking time for myself was something I could do later or when I had more time, but I realized that if I didn't start taking care of myself now, I wouldn't have the energy or the clarity to do the things that truly mattered to me. I had to learn how to say no in a way that was loving and empowering, not just for others, but for myself. The first step in this journey was realizing that self-care is not just about taking bubble baths or getting massages, though those things can certainly be part of it. It is about honoring your own needs, emotions, and energy. It is about recognizing that you are worthy of the time, attention, and love that you so freely give to others. Self-care is about nurturing yourself, about taking time to replenish your mind, body, and soul so that you can show up fully in all areas of your life. I started small, making sure that each day I took at least a few minutes to do something nourishing for myself. It wasn't about creating an elaborate self-care routine. It was about showing up for myself in simple, meaningful ways. Sometimes it was as simple as taking a walk outside, breathing in the fresh air, and giving myself permission to slow down. Other times it was as simple as sitting in quiet reflection, just being present with myself. I began to realize that self-care doesn't always have to be grand or time-consuming. It can be found in the small, everyday moments when we take the time to listen to what our body, mind, and soul need. One of the most powerful aspects of self-care is learning how to set boundaries. For much of my life, I struggled with saying no. I feared disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But over time, I began to understand that saying yes to everything meant I was saying no to myself. I was saying no to my peace, my well-being, and my own happiness. And when I constantly overextended myself, I ended up feeling drained, resentful, and disconnected from who I really was. Learning to set boundaries was a gradual process. It started with small steps, saying no to invitations or requests that didn't align with my values or needs. At first, it felt uncomfortable, almost unnatural. But as I practiced, I began to see the positive effects it had on my energy and my sense of self-worth. Setting boundaries wasn't about rejecting others or being unkind. It was about recognizing that I have the right to protect my time and energy. When I said no to something that wasn't serving me, I was saying yes to myself. One of the biggest lessons I learned about setting boundaries is that it's not just about what we say no to, but also about what we say yes to. When we say yes to our own needs, we open up space for more peace, more joy, and more of what we truly desire. And in turn, when we take care of ourselves, we are able to show up for others in a more loving and compassionate way. I found that when I honored my boundaries, I became more present with others and more compassionate toward their needs. But it all began with learning to be compassionate toward myself first. Another important aspect of self-care is cultivating a deep sense of self-compassion. For much of my life, I struggled with self-criticism. I would often be my own harshest judge, pointing out every mistake and flaw. But as I embraced self-care and set loving boundaries, I began to practice self-compassion. I learned to treat myself with the same kindness and understanding that I would offer a dear friend. I realized that perfection is an illusion, and we all deserve grace and forgiveness, especially from ourselves. When we are kind and gentle with ourselves, we create the space for healing, growth, and self-acceptance. In addition to setting boundaries and practicing self-compassion, I also learned to prioritize rest. In our culture, we often wear busyness as a badge of honor, as if being constantly active and productive is the ultimate goal. But I began to understand that rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Our bodies and minds need time to rejuvenate, recharge, and restore balance. By allowing myself the time to rest and recharge, I found that I became more focused, more energized, and more creative. Rest is not about being lazy, it is about honoring the rhythms of your body and giving yourself permission to pause and take care of your well-being. As I continued to practice self-care, I noticed a shift in my overall energy. I felt more grounded, more present, and more connected to myself and to others. The more I honored my needs, the more I found that I had the energy and clarity to pursue my passions, connect deeply with others, and show up as the best version of myself. I also learned to listen to my body when it needed rest, food, or movement. I stopped pushing myself to do things when I was exhausted or overwhelmed, and instead I honored my body's signals. I found that by taking the time to nurture myself, I became more aligned with my true desires and purpose. Learning to prioritize self-care and set loving boundaries was a game changer for me. It gave me the freedom to live authentically, to honor my needs, and to create a life that was filled with peace, joy, and balance. When we make ourselves a priority, we are better able to show up for others, to be present in our relationships, and to live a life of purpose and meaning. The more I practiced self-care, the more I realized that taking care of myself was not a selfish act. It was an act of love, both for myself and for everyone around me. As I reflect on the 3 habits that transformed my life in just 1 week, I realize that they are not isolated actions, but interconnected practices that build upon each other. Starting each day with affirmations rewires our minds, allowing us to embrace our worth and potential. Practicing gratitude shifts our focus from lack to abundance, filling our lives with appreciation for the blessings already present. And by prioritizing self-care and setting loving boundaries, we honor ourselves, ensuring that we can show up fully for the people and goals we care about. These habits, when practiced consistently, create a foundation of love, self-awareness, and inner peace. They are reminders that we hold the power to shape our experiences and that true transformation begins within. By choosing to affirm our worth, express gratitude, and care for ourselves, we open the door to a life filled with joy, clarity, and abundance. It's not about perfection, but about making small, intentional choices each day that align us with our highest potential. Remember, the journey to transformation starts with the simplest of steps, and the most profound changes can unfold in the quiet moments of self-love and mindfulness.